It's 5 o'clock.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody. If everybody could stand, we'll say the prayer, then the pledge of allegiance of the flag.
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for your guidance on this council and making decisions on behalf of Talbot County and for all of its citizens. Father, we thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy, your provision, and just your wisdom. In Jesus' most precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started on tonight's agenda. The agenda is before us. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda, council? Okay, hearing none, the chair moves that the agenda be accepted as unanimous consent. Next is the minutes of April 28th. We've had a chance to take a look at that. Is there any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes, council? Okay. The chair moves that the minutes be accepted as unanimous consent. Next is disbursements of May 19th and the 26th of May. We've had a chance to take a look at them. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the disbursements, council? Okay, hearing none, the chair moves that the disbursements be accepted as unanimous consent. Okay. Let's start off tonight with introduction of legislation. Madam Secretary, read that into the record, please.
A bill to amend Chapter 190, Zoning, Subdivision, and Land Development of the Talbot County Code for the purpose of providing for the partial or complete release of a reserved land agreement or a reservation of development rights agreement if the parcel is subject to an option contract with the State of Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, MALPF, subject to certain conditions.
Okay.
Yes, Council.
Yeah.
On April 14th, the Council received a presentation from planning staff regarding a proposed zoning text amendment that had been initiated by Althea Doolin through her attorney, Zach Smith. And you received the Planning Commission's recommendations on that proposal. The proposal would permit the Council to release a reserved land agreement or a reservation of development rights agreement if the property is subject to an option contract with MALPF that would establish a perpetual easement on the property and is binding upon the owner. Currently, these agreements can only be released if the zoning classification changes.
Okay.
So that is the proposed text amendment before you for introduction.
Okay. All right. Zach, are you familiar with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want to say a couple words?
I'm happy to.
Yep.
Like, sure.
Yep. Just to help everybody understand kind of where we're headed with this.
Right. So
Yep.
thank you, Council.
Yep.
For the record, Zach Smith on behalf of Robert and Althea Doolin, a local farm family here in Talbot County.
Yeah.
And the Doolins had, in 2017, created a 2-acre lot for their daughter and son-in-law and gifted that to them. And as part of that process, they entered into a reserve lands agreement as part of the subdivision process. Then in 2024, they applied for a MALPF easement, and they were told by both county staff and MALPF staff when they applied that their easement offer would be based on their entire acreage, including the lands that were subject to the reserve lands agreement. So they based their bid, their offer to the state on that understanding, which again was confirmed both by the county and the state. And then after they got selected and their offer was accepted by the state informed them that due to a change in policy at the state level, that they would not be paid for the reserve land acreage. And they encouraged us to come back and talk to the county about that and to try to remedy that, which is what we proposed through this amendment. This amendment did go to the county's Ag Preservation Board and got unanimous support. It also went to the Planning Commission and received unanimous support. And at both of those hearings, Eastern Shore Land Conservancy spoke in favor of the legislation. Okay. And so now we're back before the council seeking approval that would allow them to ask the council to release that reserve lands agreement, and then we'll allow them to get paid on that entire acreage.
That's great. That's good. Any other questions from council? None here. Okay. All right. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you,
I appreciate you bringing us up to speed on that. Okay. So this is just ready for introduction and raise of hands.
introduced by Stepp, Callahan, and Milky.
This will be known as Bill number 1627, and a public hearing will be held on Tuesday, June 30th at 5:30 p.m.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay. Next, eligible votes.
Bill number 1625, an act to establish the 2026-2027 annual budget and appropriation ordinance.
Good evening, Council. Martha Sparks, Finance Director in Talbot County.
Caitlin Foster Clark, Assistant Finance Director.
So we have a proposed budget amendment that is based upon discussions in our last work session on May 13th. Is that right? I can't recall.
Yeah.
May 12th. Yes. So I'm sorry, I'm having a blank here. This amendment basically encompasses previous fourth quarter transfers. These were capital outlay requests that our departments requested as part of the FY27 budget process. And they said that they could purchase them in FY26. The county FY26 budget had funds available, so council gave approval for those capital outlay items to be purchased in 26. So now we are removing those items from the FY27 budget. So those are some of the amendments, and I'll go through them. County buildings and maintenance is going to be reduced by $7,000. Information technology capital outlay is reduced by $219,500. Department of Corrections capital outlay is reduced by $20,000. Emergency management capital outlay is reduced by $124,000. Parks and Recreation capital outlay is reduced by $26,000. Public landings and wharves capital outlay is reduced by $7,500. There is, for the Board of Education, as based upon our last budget work session, there was an approval of a non-recurring MSDE cost for weapons detection system, and council agreed to include $400,000 in the budget. So there's amendment in here to include that. There's also other operating private pre-K is increased by $100, and that's an adjustment based upon final calculations that we received from MSDE since our last meeting with council. There's also the other item that council agreed upon was to produce help Easton, the town of Easton, with other public safety needs at $80,000. Miscellaneous is adjusted at $3,300, and there's a transfer to recreation fund which decreased by $72,800, and that's related to capital outlay in the in those recreation fund. So the net change is zero to the budget. So the total budget will still remain at $159,100,000.
Okay. Any questions, council?
I love it when accounting works out that way. There wasn't a magic wand involved in making that happen.
No. And basically, it was the net effect of reducing the capital outlay in FY27, and then that increased $400,000 and the $80,000. Those were the adds, and the adds almost equals offset. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess is there a motion?
I'll move for the amendment number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So one more time, amendment
Yeah.
number 1
Yeah, I was getting ready to say the same thing.
is the budget, the number as we've discussed so far.
Mm-hmm.
And additionally, like I said, that would be that includes the $80,000 in additional Town of Easton request,
That is correct.
and that includes the $400,000 addition for TCPS.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the offset was the decrease related to all of those capital outlay items that are being purchased in FY '26.
Mr. Stamp?
You want to introduce the amendment
Oh, we need to introduce first, yeah.
and then vote on it.
Right.
Okay. So we want to introduce, what'd you say, option number one?
So you want a show of hands for introduction of the budget amendment,
Yes. Sure, right.
introduced by council?
Mhm.
Now they can vote on the amendment.
So,
Second. Do what?
Do you want to discuss, or do you want to move to,
If you want to
vote
discuss
on
it,
the
that's fine. I'm good with it. If you want to go ahead and make a motion.
do we know if, do we know how the, I mean, do we know, are the funds indeed going to be spent on school security? Do we have information on that?
So, council, I contacted Sharon Papakai this morning to see if the board. So, first of all, let me back up. The direction that staff received by council was to appropriate $400,000 as a match for the weapons detection system that was supposed to be estimated, or is estimated to be $800,000. I was advised this morning that the school board is not interested in matching the $400,000 for the project.
Okay.
So we amended?
So they're not looking to move forward with school security.
Again, what was relayed to me is that the board narrowly decided that they did not want to match the $400,000 for the weapons detection system. So at this point in time, the direction staff had was to provide that funding if the Board of Education would match it. And again, they've chosen not
And if they won't
to.
match it, then we don't provide it.
Well, that's council's, that's your determination. I
Do
mean,
you think the school realized that, that we were meeting them halfway, and if they didn't participate and partner up with that 400,000 would be there for them? Do you think they
I
knew
think
that?
we made it clear.
You think we
I
made
thought
it
was
clear?
abundantly clear as of last Monday's work session.
Okay. Okay, I'm just
That
asking.
was the ask.
I'm just asking. Yeah,
That's disappointing here.
it is disappointing.
I mean, certainly it's council's discretion. I mean, obviously, they're interested in doing something in this area regarding security. Obviously, budget, at some point in time, budget is a forecasting tool. If council wants to leave money in there to assist them with an effort to come up with a solution, I mean, certainly you can do that at your discretion. But obviously, they didn't feel they had. Well, I don't want to speak for them. But
Right. I understand.
again, you can certainly at your discretion.
Just to recap to council, just
Yep.
so everyone knows, and I'll throw in an additional point that I learned as of last Monday. So,
Right.
I'm sorry, last Wednesday, we had, when we had spoken to TCPS, they had proposed 3 options, none of which they didn't have a clue which one they wanted to go with. They kept honing in on the $800,000 solution for 8 lanes across 3 schools, and said there was no path to move forward. And now to add further, discussion of that, I was at the school board meeting on this past Wednesday. They've since added a potential 4th option. So for the record, I'm personally for funding it. I put the $400,000 on the table and discussed it. But I would have liked, as I mentioned at our discussion last Monday, I would have liked to have seen a plan. We're going for this solution. We'd like to do it here, and we will kick in our funds to help do this. So,
If I could share that I did speak with the school's CFO, Sarah Jones, later in the week. And when the school is reevaluating their budget in their original request to council, and then what council provided within the budget funds, they decided to do some realignment, and they do plan to include the use of $2.9 million from their fund balance. So they prioritized other items they're contributing $2.9 million of their fund balance. So they are contributing and using that, and I know that's been a desire of council, just not on this item. They just did not feel comfortable with adding this to that item in this budget year.
Yeah,
So
and to
explain
parlay
that to me again.
And to
Again?
parlay off again what Ms. Sparks just said, they're going into it right now with about an $8 million surplus. They're saying they'd like to use 2.9, so let's just round it to 3. That leaves 5.1 million still left in the fund reserve that they could use towards this. They could fully fund it themselves if they wanted to. We were willing to kick in $400,000, and now it sounds like they don't want to, which is, again, concerning. So, am I wrong in that balance? They said they were around 8 million, and with plans to
Yes,
spend around
it
3.
is about 8 million, it is about 3, and there were other considerations for why they did not want to deplete their fund balance so quickly in 1 year. So a lot of it is cash flow. They have that cash in the bank that helps them with, right now an example is Chapel School District. They pay the invoice, then they send them to us for reimbursement. So there's a delay. There's also a delay in getting their payments. There's their cash flow issue and why they're not comfortable with depleting it that far.
And isn't there also a state law that directed there be a study of metal detectors in schools? And it was a 2-year study. Half of the study was completed with a report last December, and at the end of this year, there'll be another report with recommendations or just statements of the different types that are available, and they weren't willing to wait to get that report.
I'm not sure about the reason for their request, but I am aware that that report is due in December, but I'm not sure. I've never heard anything about why the school decided to put it in this request now instead of waiting until after. I'm unsure of that.
Well, I think that's what's sort of disappointing about the whole thing. I mean, like Mr. Stepp said, and Mrs. Melky said, this has sort of been all over the map, and we just had that thrown on our shoulders in the last month, 6 weeks, and it really wasn't quite fair because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the money. It's about providing security and safeness to the school, and I think all of us want to do that. That's for sure. Yes. So, I tried to drag it across the finish line a little bit and partner up with the school and say, look, let's work this together, because you're asking us for something that you don't even really know what you want yet. And first of all, it's not only what you want, it's how you're going to go forward and afford to keep the equipment and update the equipment once you get it. There's a lot of questions, but we were willing to work with the school and kind of meet them halfway, And that's the same thing with the $500,000 when it comes to trying to provide classrooms for kids that are bad and stuff. So, we got this thrown on our shoulders, and all of a sudden, we're automatically going to give them the money, and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So, I'm okay with the 400, but I think the school needs to understand we're meeting them halfway. And even though they're using $3 million of their fund balance, it's not fair to us to ask for $10 million. I mean, it's a shame it's coming down to this money thing back and forth, and I don't really like it. And I think we've provided, since I got some figures right here that in 2019 their budget was $40 million, and today's budget is $57 million. So within 8 years, we've gave that school almost $17 million extra dollars.
That is
And
great.
I don't mean sort of extra, but it's really helping them, and I want to do that. But we only can provide services that we can afford, and not only that, we're doing exactly what the state asks us to do. So we're doing everything we can and more. So, it's fair is fair on this. So do you have a motion?
Well, we don't need a motion.
Okay.
The budget amendment has been introduced. You
Mhm.
could call the vote on it.
Okay. Madam Secretary, any other questions? Madam Secretary, call the vote.
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Okay. We're good.
Good.
Well, that
We're
was-
good.
Now we have.
No, that's the amendment. That's not the budget ordinance, so.
That's amendment. Okay.
Got Caitlin a little excited there, thought we were done.
So,
So now you vote on the bill.
yeah, before we move on to the vote, Mr. Callahan?
Yes, sir.
You know, the budget is always the biggest policy action of this council every year, and I want to thank the county manager and the county staff for a really thorough budget development process this year. It really went very smoothly. Agency heads and department heads provided measured and well-considered requests. And fundamentally, I believe this is a good budget. It is not a perfect budget, and we should be doing more to address discipline challenges in the public schools, an issue for which the Talbot County Public Schools submitted a carefully considered request with a high priority attached to it, but which this council is choosing to deny, while at the same time offering a subsidy for security to a private school. Nevertheless, I'm prepared to support this budget in final passage tonight.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
I mean, I that's interesting because, I mean, we are funding them to President Callahan's note. I mean, we're up almost 17 million year after year. You know, since FY19, an increase of 41.25%. So I'd say we have been doing our job. They've been seeing increases every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for the record, if Mr. Lesher, if you wanted to discuss those points, I'd be all for the 800,000 and the 500,000 if things were presented to us in a more clear and concise fashion, and you know, promises were actually kept. Specifically speaking to the 800,000, I'd be all for it if the board came to us and TCPS came to us and said, you know what, this is the one that we want to go with. This is why we want to go with it. This is how much it costs exactly. Here's the PO that goes along with it. And we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to call July 1st, 2026, you know, to actually place an order. I'd have been completely fine with the full $800,000. $500,000 request for the Alternative Learning Center. The way it was proposed was that this $500,000 was to be used for 4 teachers and 1 social worker at the Alternative Learning Center, the Board of Education building, the white trailers at the left as you're looking, facing the front of the building. That's not, when we just found out this past Monday in our budget work session, it was proposed that this was going to be for in-school only. I heard no policy that was said, you know, that was going to help get those children who need that help that they need for disruptive behavior in school in getting to that facility. All I heard was we're going to just do something which is slightly better than checkmate in the schools. That's not the bill of goods that we were originally sold. So they broke it down into what they called ALA 1 and ALA 2. I was under the impression apparently the ALA 2 is Mount Pleasant. ALA 1 is in school. I'd have been fine with the 500,000 if they showed me policy that was going to help the children who needed to be in ALA 2 get to that program. But we didn't see that. So I'd have been fine with the 1.3 million in total ask if we'd have seen that.
Right.
I did hear at this also, in full disclosure, at last Wednesday's meeting, I heard there was a proposal for a letter to go to the state in trying to give to help restore local autonomy to our Board of Education so they can help strengthen just disciplinary policy here and restore local decision-making authority to our local boards. I'm all for that.
Right.
I even spoke to the board's vice president, said, look, if you're serious about submitting this letter, I'd love to jump on board, and I hope council would support that, because after what we've seen here within these last few weeks and disciplinary issues and you know, one severe issue that just recently happened, I think it's clearly needed. But again, tell us what you need, tell us how much it's going to cost, show us a plan to how to get to that, to how to get to that solution, and let us know how you're going to implement it. And if you have any roadblocks, let us know so we can help, how we can help navigate them. So I'll stop there.
Okay. All right.
I totally concur with you about that. Said they should have had a more detailed plan. This is what we want to do. This is why we want to do it. And they didn't provide that. It was kind of
Yep.
all over the place.
Yep,
And,
yep.
you know, they're very important issues that they want to address and fund,
is.
and so do we.
Right.
But you've got to tell us what the plan is, because we don't want to be throwing away money.
Right.
And the funding for the private school who's made a request, that one just blows my mind. Anyone who's not in regards to that, these are still children in a building in Talbot County that deserve the same protection as, you know, any one of our public school children has had for years now, and which this council here made sure to put one SRO in every single school, because when we started here, I believe there was only 3 SROs across the entire county. We have 7 school buildings. Now we have 7 SROs, and we have a sergeant who can fill in for if anyone's missing. So this council's made great strides to get it to where they are. I'm sorry, just because a child goes to a private school versus a public school, they deserve the same security. And frankly, as a taxpayer myself, I mean, those dollars are already being spent. 43% of my tax bill is going to education here in Talbot County and educational security. So why aren't those kids afforded the same opportunity to do that? I think is just to not do that is just politicization with our children being the pawns.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'll stop there.
Well,
Ditto.
yep, let's stop there, and let's, once again, I'm going to remind everybody, we've just give $480,000 for security. We've agreed to that.
Across
Across-
private
correct.
and public schools.
Correct. So let's not forget that. That's not chump
Amen.
change. So, okay. So, you're done, so are we ready to call for the vote for the budget?
Yes, sir.
Madam Secretary, could?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye,
Okay. Good job.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Well done.
Okay. We got clay stuff coming.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Council, under County Manager Report this evening, I have a number of items for you. First, under boards and committee appointments, the first is the Airport Board. I'm asking Council for the consideration to reappoint Mr. Hugh Grundon to the Airport Board.
So moved.
Second.
Whoa. Okay, we got a motion. We got a motion second. Madam
Board.
Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye,
And Council, the next one would be the Commission on Aging, requesting the appointment of Marion Donahue to serve on that commission.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye,
And finally, the Golf Board, requesting the reappointment of Benny Mangor to the Golf Board.
so moved.
A second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the
All
vote?
my committees.
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye,
Thank you, Council. I'd like to ask Mike Arisha, the airport manager, to come forward. Easton Airport is recommending the award of bid number 2606 to AECom for technical services. He'll explain the detail related to the request, and I'll fill in where necessary. Good evening, Micah.
Yeah, good evening, Clay, Council. Thanks for having me. So in accordance with our FAA guidance, every 5 years, we have to rebid our contract for aviation consulting services. So we went out for bid with 2606, and we actually received 2 responses. The one was AECom, who's provided service at the airport since 2010, and the other was Delta Aviation Consultants. So we reviewed both of those proposals, and it is unanimous with myself and the advisory board that we remain with AECom and agree to another 5-year consulting contract with them. And I would also like to add, there's no number value associated with this. This is really a qualifications is what we review. And every year when we do whatever the next phase is, when we receive a price proposal from AECom, we send that out to get an independent fee estimate to make sure their pricing is reasonable. And every year they come back, at or below what the average is. So I definitely feel like we get a good value, and working with them for, the last 19 years, they're a first-rate organization.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
None here. I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Step?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Okay, good
Thank
job.
you,
And council, Micah, and council, obviously you know the wonderful job that our airport manager does with his team out there, and we're going to be inviting him back probably at the next council meeting just to share a little bit about the exciting things taking place at the airport and to give council and the public an update on the status of construction.
Okay, sounds great.
Absolutely. We'll
Looks
see you
good.
soon.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, council, the next area, I'm going to ask Tommy Hadaway, your Director of Technical Services, to come forward. They're requesting to procure network infrastructure. I'm sorry, I'll back up. They're looking to use a National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, which is a group purchasing contract, to secure upgrades to servers and replacement of computers. Tommy, you want to go from there?
Sure. Thank you, evening council. This is our annual computer replacement, so life cycle replacement. This is replacing desktops, laptops, and in this case, in this request, a server environment that's currently being used by GIS. Everything has reached its usable life. We mostly have everything on a 5-year rotating contract on a refresh schedule. So this is basically the request in front of you. So it would be desktops for general government staff. There are five desktops in there for more power users that require a lot of CPU power. So there is a couple different models being requested. And then obviously the server environment, which, as I said, it's for the GIS environment, which is used by everybody from planning and zoning, public works, and emergency services.
And this is for a purchase procurement with Dell computers in the amount of $358,119.68, and there is sufficient money in the budget to cover the purchase.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the request.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Step?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
And Tommy, I'll just open it up to you. You're looking to purchase additional network infrastructure devices from ePlus Technology in the amount of $132,520.59 using the State of Maryland contract. Would you like to share anything on that?
Sure. So this is now the third year of our network infrastructure refresh. The first 2 years we spent on solidifying the external facing portions of the county, so internet access, firewall replacements. This request is actually the end user equipment for infrastructure that any desktop or printer would plug into, and it's replacing equipment that is 10 plus years old. So.
And again, there is sufficient funds in the budget for this request.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote, please?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Step?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
And before Tommy stands up, I just want to recognize his hard work along with his team. The new frontier of risk is in his world. With computers and technology. It's so important, and they work tirelessly day in and day out to make sure that they maintain a safe environment for us to operate, and that we can leverage technology to be more efficient in our processes. And he's the one that doesn't talk much but does a lot.
And for spinning up Mary's Court. That's a lot of wire running through there now.
Yes, it
So,
is.
well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay.
Next, I would like to see if Sheriff Gamble would come up. He's here this evening to speak to you about the local Drug and Alcohol Coordinating Committee, known as LDAC, requesting council concurrence for the submission of a 5-year local abatement plan, recognizing that he and the LDAC group are doing a wonderful job with those funds to make a difference. So,
thank you, Mr. Stamp. Thank you, council. So 2 years ago, or 2023, you all charged the LDAC with coming up with a local abatement plan to best use these funds in the national opioid settlements that go through the state and down to us. And we submitted a plan, a 2-year plan that's expiring. So now we have to submit a 5-year plan to the state for the local abatement plan, which I'm here to talk to you about. So the LDAC met, we discussed the 5-year plan. A majority of the voting members voted for it. There was nobody that voted against it. Some people weren't present for the meeting who later got it, but we didn't receive those votes. So majority voted for it with nobody not wanting or expressing the desire not to fund it. So as you well know, the Talbot County Detention Center, Department of Corrections, annually has medicated opioid use disorder program. It's required by the state. They did have some grant funding in the past, but it's mandated that it be funded. So we're going to, in our plan, which will run a 5-year plan from July 1st of this year till June 30th of 2031, we're going to be setting aside about $200,000 annually for that plan out of the target abatement funds. That includes a full-time substance use counselor, full-time peer support recovery specialist, part-time registered nurse, et cetera, as well as the actual drugs that they use and the and urinalysis testing for a number of individuals who get into that program. As far as the local direct settlement payments, we still want to do what we did 2 years ago with a sub-recipient micro-grant program. There'll be about $47,000 in that pot that nonprofits will apply to. Us will bring that back to you once the LDAC votes on it to say, hey, 20,000 is going here, 10,000 is going here. So we still want to do that. That's a part of our overall 5-year plan. Gray Street Recovery Organization, which all of you well know, also serves as our county safe station. Part of the local direct funds they would receive $50,000 annually, depending on the local direct settlement revenues received during that period. If we receive those, then they would get those. They expand their outreach in the community, reducing overdose risk, preventing infectious disease, and connecting participants to treatment and recovery resources. And I had Kelly in here just a few weeks ago with you, and what they've done at Gray Street is amazing. Led a lot of people to services as well as long-term recovery. And then the fourth and final thing in our plan would be to support a $2,500 to expend for the Sheriff's Office and DES to have a dual app, which will have all the resources that people can access. Between the two of us, we have tens of thousands of followers on our other pages. Thinking if we promote this app, since a lot of younger people don't look at the social media that old people like me look at, that the app's the way to go. It'd be $12,000 out of that funding, and in subsequent years, about $7,400, $7,500 maintenance on that. Do you have any questions for me about our 5-year plan?
No questions, just more of a comment. So it's it's been a pleasure to be a part of the LDAC here as the liaison for a couple months now. So thanking Mr. Lesher for your previous work in serving on that committee. But it's been nice to see kind of the behind the scenes work that goes behind putting this together, and all the folks that are in that room that care for those who need it, especially when they need it most. So it's been a blessing to see how the sausage is made there, and just the level of care in that room for folks. So thank you for putting this together. That's what I've got to say before. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you both, you and Mr. Lesher, for your being on the committee, coming to the meetings, understanding all the minutia that goes into some of these plans that are required by the state.
Well, it's an impressive process, and Sheriff, I want to thank you for your leadership on this, bringing all the right people together to make sure that we are doing for the community what we can with the funding we receive from those who've damaged the community through that opioid use and abuse. What you've done here, there's integrity to this process, and I am convinced that with this revised plan, this continued plan for the next 5 years, that we are doing our level best to make the best use of these funds that will most impact those most deeply affected in this community.
Thank you.
There's no other discussion. I'll make a motion to approve the abatement plan as noted.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bud.
Thank you, Sheriff. Council, I have another item here for you. I'll ask Ray Clark and Stefan Abel to come forward. Department of Public Works is requesting council approval to enter a memorandum of understanding with Ferry Cove Shellfish Incorporated for a pilot oyster growing harvest project. This project will be supported by a $125,000 contribution from the county and will support Talbot Watermen's Association and local businesses that produce plant spat on shell. Ray's here with Stefan Abel, and they can guide us through this.
Ray Clark, County Engineer. I think Stefan contacted me about 3 to 4 years ago. Ultimately, the objective with this is one, work with the Watermen's Association, the Talbot County Watermen's Association, as well as Stefan Abel's Ferry Cove Shellfish Incorporated nonprofit. They're the ones that are providing the spat on shell. This would then be planted in local, I believe in Harris Creek, on 10 acres. The game plan here is to then plant these oysters and then harvest them in about 2 to 3 years. And then once you've done that, then that would then generate nutrient credits. And those nutrient credits can be done we can do one of two things. We can sell them on the market that is run by the Maryland Department of the Environment, or we can provide those to, let's say, Easton Utilities or another permitted for, let's say, stormwater permitted facility, or what they call a phase 2 permitted municipality. So again, we have an option of ideas. The other thing was, once we start, let's say if we sold the credits on the market, those credits that are sold could actually be used to help the program in future years. So again, this is a focus of trying to utilize or seed this, working with the Watermen's Association, the Ferry Cove Shellfish Operations, and then ultimately, hopefully, this takes on and we don't have to do much more after that. So.
Okay.
I guess the other point too is just so the council, this has been something that's been ongoing for almost 10 years in developing this program, where the objective is actually measuring the meat of the oysters, and that's basically what's generating what the credits would be. We opted not to do an audit or let's say an on-bottom survey. What we're doing is just utilizing a 3% survival rate for the oysters as our default. So we didn't have to go in that direction. Stefan here, who knows a heck of a lot more about oysters than I do, can provide any other additional information.
Okay, any questions?
I know I do. So please help me understand this, and please use a big crayon. I use the same thing when you explain this to me. So, okay. So we're planting oysters.
Correct.
Oysters clean the water.
Correct.
Trying to do that, put all that together with nutrient credits.
Yes.
All right. Why are we harvesting them? I know we want to, I know it's going to help our watermen and everything like that, but if we're planting the oysters to help out with cleaning the water in the areas we want to, wouldn't it be more beneficial to not harvest in that area and keep them there so they continue to do their job and reproduce? So help me understand why.
Okay,
There's got to be a reason.
All right. So oysters, when they go in the bay, whether they're for sanctuary purposes, for aquaculture, or for the wild fishery, they all filter the water. So as they eat the algae, they retain the nitrogen, phosphorus, and remove that from the water column. All the oysters that we're looking for this project are diploids, which means they'll naturally reproduce. So oysters will start reproducing after year 2, and they'll continue on throughout the entire process. When we plant the oysters in the summer, then the earliest harvest in order, and the market size is 3 inches. So while we can start, there could be some fast growers that start at year 2, likely it's going to be year 3, but the oysters are going to have an opportunity to reproduce. The oysters where they're going now is barren bottom. I actually went out a month or so ago with a diver and we analyzed the bottom. DNR went out and looked at the bottom. So this is barren bottom where there are no oysters at this time. So why sanctuaries versus non-harvest versus non-harvest? Well, the opportunity is there, even though the oysters are there and you do harvest them at some point, not unlike what aquaculture are, they still provide valuable habitat for the time that those oysters are in the bay. The economic value is there as well. So not only do you get the nutrient credits, you do get the benefits of natural reproduction that those oysters spawn. You do get the filtration and the habitat, but then you also get the economic development. So when the watermen go and harvest, starting year 2, but likely 3, 4, and 5, we anticipated the 3%, they're going to harvest 2,600 bushels of oysters, which equates then to the dockside value, plus the value of planting those oysters, plus the economic impact as those oysters go through the marketplace is about $400,000. So it's an investment. It's not 100% sanctuaries, but you know, you've got Harris Creek, which is a sanctuary. You've got Tread, which is sanctuary. A lot of these bars out there, even though they're sanctuaries, they provide source sites for public fishery areas too. So, and across the, it's Howell Point, across the river, you also have a sanctuary. So, I mean, it's a win-win having some of those oysters come off and provide the economic benefits for the nutrient credits to support the state's and the county's obligation, or the city of Easton's obligation as far as removal rates. It's a balancing act, but you are getting economic benefits of those oysters, just them being in the bay.
Okay, so 3% stick rate. We've got, you know, so they're going to do their job.
Yes.
They're going to be in there long enough to reproduce and create an environment that's going to, you know, sustain for a longer time.
Yes.
And then harvest, you know, will help our watermen out too.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. I was just wondering why we just don't leave them there, because if the whole purpose is to help out with nutrient credits and help, you know, restore those areas that need it most. You know, I figure, I'm just thinking to myself, why do we leave them there?
That's why shellfish are such a win-win-win, because you can get it all with these animals. So they're not triploids. So a lot of the aquaculture farmers use triploids, which are sterile. They don't naturally reproduce. So because these are diploids, they're going to go out on barren bottom, and you're going to actually end up creating habitat that isn't there now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
The science behind it, I didn't understand. So,
Yeah.
So looking to. Thank you.
So Mr. Clark answered one of my questions, which had to do with who gets the benefit of these nutrient credits, that the county is not under an MS4 permit. The county doesn't need these. We can therefore sell these nutrient credits. So thank you for that. One thing that just occurred to me, Mr. Abel, as you're explaining this, is usually when we're planting oysters, this is aquaculture. These are privately owned oysters now.
Correct.
And they belong to the investor that planted them.
Yes.
Is this being planted on public bottom, and therefore it becomes part of the public resource? Or
Yes.
who owns the
Yes,
oysters? Is
yes,
it the
and
state
no.
of Maryland?
So this is a pilot program. So this is the first of its kind. It is going on public bottom. But what it's taken, I think the last time that we spoke, it's been over a year. It took the state, DNR, working with MDE to work through the process. And Ray has got the whole big best management practice SOP guidelines on how they want to see this roll out. But basically what's going to happen is we surveyed the bottom. They're going to close that bar to harvest. So no one is allowed to harvest there until those oysters are opened up. And when that bar is opened up for the wild harvesters to go in, it's got to be monitored in order for us to calculate those credits and the bushels that get taken off of that bar.
That's part of this agreement.
Yes, it's public fishery, but it's closed to the public fishery unless the state opens it up.
Okay.
And at that point, it's monitored.
So I'm recalling some of the previous discussion on this, that as you just stated, the credits don't come until these are harvested. The credits are not coming when we're planting them, they're coming at harvest time. And so on the part of the county, there's a bit of entrepreneurial risk.
Yes, there is.
The quantity of credits that will come out of this will depend on the survival rate and so forth.
Yes, sir.
And if this bar is sustainably managed, that is, we leave enough oysters there that they continue to reproduce and so forth, will the credits come in not just one time, but perhaps indefinitely?
The way the system has worked and the way the crediting, the nutrient credit process works, you can gather credits off that bar for this one single planting that we're doing this summer in years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can get credits for over 4 years. The thought would be that you go back and replant, and then basically the counter continues to go and you continue to get credits off that bar. Or you find another location and do the same thing.
Okay, so credits will be only through year 5.
Correct. It's based on the stipulations, based on the BMP report, the expert panel that defined the parameters of that project.
And if this becomes a sustainable, self-sustaining oyster bar after that, it's just that now it is that bar and the management of that bar that gets credit for this, not the county for that initial planting of the oyster seed. Okay, thank you.
And maybe to help the council a little bit too, because Steph and I have talked about this as well. Since this is a pilot program, what we're trying to do is once we can get this moving forward, maybe present this to like Anne Arundel County, some of these permitted other counties that are under an MS4 permit, to see if they would be willing to go and do this as well. Especially if they're starting to see nutrient credits that are coming in higher than what they might be producing from, let's say, their trade-offs with their stormwater facilities and whatnot. So it becomes a new tool in the toolbox for the entire state, hopefully.
So we'll get some data behind this.
Yes.
And on how it's working and how things are looking and all that too.
And if you want to visit as we plant the oysters, we can do that too.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
We may be able to work out a few bushels too. So.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay,
Very clear.
so is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the request for the memorandum of understanding and agreement.
I'll second it.
Okay. We got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks,
good.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank you very
guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I have one more item. I asked Martha Sparks to come up. She's going to be requesting council's consideration to approve an extension to the current agreement with SB and Company for audit services. Martha?
Good evening, Council. So we have had SB and Company since 2018. We have benefited from the firm's continuity and institutional knowledge, and we've established a working relationship. They've established a working relationship with us and our financial services, and there is value there. And we're asking for council to extend their agreement for a 3-year period.
And Council, I support the recommendation as well. They've done a great job holding our feet to the fire.
Yes.
And I think it would be a good move for us to go for the extension.
I'll move to approve the extension of agreement.
Second.
One question. What was the previous length of contract?
The previous length of contract was 5 years.
Okay.
It is customary, but it's not uncommon for there to be year-to-year extensions. We did a 2-year extension, I think, in '24 for FY24, or yes, FY24 and FY25. They are generally the lowest priced auditor. I mean, when we went out to bid in 2017, they were the lowest price. They were the highest scoring
No, what, that really wasn't. I was just curious why the 3 years and not the 5 or whatever. You said we had a contract with them for 5.
We have a contract with them for 5, and a lot of times it's a 3-year agreement with an
Okay.
option for
That's
a fourth and a fifth year, and sometimes there's a 3-year agreement
Yeah.
with an option for,
But you feel comfortable with the 3?
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
They're a solid firm.
Okay, all right, we got any other questions?
No.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Okay, good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you, Martha. Council, that concludes your county manager report for this week. I thank you for your continued support.
Okay, sounds good. Good job. Okay, do we have?
Nobody signed up this evening.
Nobody signed up? Okay, does anybody want to come up? Public comment, welcome to come up. Okay. All right. Council comment. Ms. Milford.
No comment.
You good? You okay?
Great to get a budget passed.
Isn't it?
Great to get a budget passed. Long time coming.
Isn't
Great
it?
job to staff.
Yep.
And everyone, all of our department heads who went into that, Martha,
Yeah.
Caitlin, thank you, Clay, Jess, Susan, Patrick, everybody. Thank you all for getting us through that. It's good to get one under the belt.
Ditto that.
Gotcha.
2 items. One, this afternoon I attended the retirement of Shauna Beulah, the longtime librarian of the St. Michael's branch of the Talbot County Public Library. 40 years she has been serving in that role, bringing the community together and leading that branch to become a real anchor of that community. The room was packed and the tributes to her were heartfelt. It was really, really nice to see her, Shauna Beulah, honored in that way. Second item is, this happened several months ago, but it just came to my attention that that Bill Walensky, a past assistant county engineer, has passed away. A public servant whose work endures around this county in the cleaner waters that we have from cleaner wastewater and stormwater runoff from all of his years of work for the county. He was, in that sense, I think, a model public servant, doing his work quietly, mostly behind the scenes. He, among other things, developed the county's model stormwater ditch retrofit design that we can continue to use for projects as we do road expansion projects around here. I always ask about that, and the engineering staff remembers every time I ask to make sure that we do those stormwater ditch retrofits for, again, improved stormwater runoff every time one of those projects comes our way. Thank you to Bill Walensky, and please remember his family.
Okay, good. And once again, thank you guys for the budget. You guys, you did a phenomenal job. Staff, you did a phenomenal job. So once again, you made us really look good, that's for sure.
That's staff too.
Huh?
That's staff too. You didn't point to them.
Oh, I pointed them. You guys did a good job asking for money. Yes, you did. You did, So, okay, all right.
The County Council's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 9th, beginning at 5:00 p.m. The Council will be convening an open session at 2:30 p.m. for a work session with the Senior Citizens Task Force, and then adjourning into closed session as listed on the statement for closing that meeting. Therefore, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting and reconvene as noted?
Yes, there is. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Madam Secretary, could you call the vote?
Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mr. Stepp?
Aye.
Mr. Lesher?
Aye.
Ms. Milky?
Aye.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
You deserve the applause.